You're watching Chili Boy Productions. I'm Larry Chili Boy Chilson, and this is my review for ISS. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. ISS is a 2023 sci-fi thriller that played as the closing night presentation of the 46th annual Denver Film Festival. In addition to screening the film, director Gabriella Caprowaite was on hand to discuss her film with the audience. ISS follows a crew stationed on the International Space Station, comprised of Russian and American scientists and astronauts. But everything changes when a World War event occurs on Earth itself, and members of both crews are instructed by their respective nations to seize control of the space station. The film stars Ariana DeBose, Chris Messina, John Gallagher Jr., Pilo Asbaek, Kosta Ronen, and Maria Masha Mashkova. So as of tonight, with the closing special presentation, and as of the time of this review, the film has been picked up for distribution from Bleecker Street. Now, I couldn't find a date for release, but distribution is secure. Now, heading into this film, I knew pretty much nothing, big old goose egg, about the movie itself. I knew it had to do with an astronaut, thanks to the poster work, and the International Space Station, ISS, and that was virtually it. I was just so excited to see a film about the space station at the Infinity Theater at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. It's a huge, beautiful screen here in Denver that obviously specializes in showcasing animal documentaries and the like. Seemed like the perfect place to view this film, and it was. The spectacle was caught beautifully on this gigantic screen. And as for the film we were actually watching, ISS, I think this was a solid film. It definitely falls short of any greatness, but it was still an entertaining watch. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, my biggest positive is actually Ariana DeBose, who is our lead character, kind of our core, our anchor, the character that the audience feels most connected to and follows the most. And Ariana does a great job of being that stand in for the audience throughout. She is really good, really authentic in this film. Chris Messina is also fantastic. I was so happy when he walked on screen because I had no idea he was in this film. And he's always great in literally anything I have ever seen him in. And, well, ISS is no exception. And the other standout for me was Pilo Asbaek, who I am most familiar with from Game of Thrones, though didn't really love anything about what happened with his character there. But here, I thought he was fantastic. Actually, his character takes us on a bit of a ride as we move throughout the events of the story, and Pilu is able to really sell everything here. And those six actors I named in the opening are the entire cast. And I do think actually all six of them are really good and have an interesting chemistry together. But although the cast is small and the inside of our ISS craft is confined, the scope of the film is quite beautiful. When we get those big sweeping space shots, it looks stunning. There are those big awe-inspiring moments that you hope for in any of these space films, and the effects were really well handled, other than a couple of mice that looked quite wonky. Everything else looked amazing here. And the film does a great job of setting the tense tone, pretty much from the onslaught. We start off with just like a nice conversation, these two people just kind of going back and forth to get to the actual space station. But even there, I don't know, there's this underlying tenseness that just slowly escalates as we move throughout the film. As an audience member, you're never really at ease. Even when what's happening on screen feels mundane, the director does a great job of keeping you on your toes and keeping that sense of tension throughout. And the film is only an hour and 35 minutes. It is a short watch. It doesn't try to pack in too much for this confined space. But that's also going to lead me into my negatives. So let's go ahead and talk about it. What doesn't work so well when it comes to ISS? So while the film is a short watch and utilizes that time to good enough effect, I actually think it would have served better to be a touch shorter or a bit longer. To go shorter, I mean, we could have cut out some of the more mundane stuff because we're really just getting down to a lean, mean film. The script itself, I think, could have just focused in on what was happening more. And then the runtime itself maybe didn't have to be shorter. We could have just gotten more moments that led to the ultimate ending. Instead, there's a lot of weird dead space in the film. And that's not great when your film only clocks in at an hour 35. But conversely, the film also could have done with just adding on a little bit more time to let us get to know these characters. That's probably my biggest complaint here is you kind of just feel cold by the end of it all. You do kind of get endeared to the Ariana DeBose character or the Maria character, Nika, because they're kind of the good people here, the best people. But they do kind of fall into the tropes of like bad or, stereotypical villain tropes with a couple of these characters. But it doesn't really have this big impact like it could have if we had just used some more time to get to know them as friends. We hear these are your friends, you've been with them for years and years. But in honesty, they don't show us their friendship that much. And if we had time to really get to know the bonds and the connection amongst this team, I think the ending would have really soared. And I think it would have actually been quite the emotional gut punch. As is, it's kind of emotionally cold. And the film doesn't really do anything interesting with the ideas it presents, unfortunately. Yes, we have this idea of like two warring nations stuck on this small ship together, and they both have the same mission and have to race to get it. But we've seen that, and we've kind of seen that done in space as well. And I think other films have accomplished this ideology with more complexity and more intrigue. We have ideas about unity and humanity. The entire concept lends itself to the human condition and what humans do when faced with adversity and when faced with tough decisions. But we've seen that, and I think we've seen it done better. So overall, I enjoyed ISS. I think it is a well-crafted film that looks stunning on the big screen, but one that's not going to have much of an lasting impression on me. There's just not enough in here to really dig my teeth into, unfortunately. But if you are interested, if you enjoy space films particularly, I think this is definitely worth a watch on the big screen once it does hit theaters, but maybe give it that matinee pricing. So that was my review for ISS. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Have you heard of ISS? What do you think? Let me know all of your comments and thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.